is historically speaking, the track record of catastrophism is very, very poor in terms of every generation is always scared of the upcoming technology and
Yeah.
they're always catastrophizing about it. And it never actually, what ends up coming true is a lot more positive and leans a lot more towards, in terms of the double edged sword, towards making society and standards of living better, not worse.
So what makes this different?
I think you used an interesting word here. You said a tool. And all the things you mentioned before were tools. And here, depending on which side you're siding with, maybe AI is not just a tool. It's actually a super intelligence that is coming. It's not GPT-4 is not a super intelligence. It's not going to kill us all. But when you use it, when you use GPT-2 or 3 before, and you see the insane exponential progress it does, and actually how it's gonna put some white-collar jobs, people out of job, and this is not something we expected. Same for the artists. I don't think it's gonna. We can talk about this later, but we did not expect AI to challenge us on what makes us actually human and what makes us successful in life. And a very basic version of an AI algorithm that is a large language model is actually challenging this very notion of intelligence. And some people say, and I might side with that, that in a couple of months, in a couple of years, after a few iterations, you might create this really, really intelligent technology. And that would be the first time in history that we actually have on Earth a smarter thing than us. And that is a bit scary.
But won't it
if it's
always,
not controlled.
won't it always be dependent on a human creation? In other words, you said like, we're not that special, but who created ChatGPT? We did.
Yeah, but now, my understanding is it starts evolving and advancing on its own without human
Exactly.
intervention.
I don't know if you heard about Auto GPT.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's basically GPT prompting himself to achieve
Now
a
I'm getting
quest.
Right, so
So
you-
you give him a mission, and he's gonna cut this mission in several steps and prompt himself to reach this goal.
Right, so you can make an agent and be like, "Hey, you're my agent, and your job is to sell this building for me. Do
Exactly.
whatever you need to do to get ChatGPT to do that." And it can create more agents and be like, okay, I need an assistant, I need this, I need a
What do you mean
marketing
agents?
person.
Literally agents?
No, like
I don't know what an agent is.
a
I'm so
digital.
new.
No, it's like you create like we can call it an agent, but it's like a program, and then this program can create more programs and be like, I need a marketing person, I need a finance person,
And it will do
and they're all going to work with ChatGPT to get the most out of it, and it's just ChatGPT working with itself without any humans.
What if it says like, "Hey, ChatGPT 7, please write code that makes you smarter." Like
Exactly.
you keep
Could you do
prompting
that?
it to do itself.
Yeah.
The truth is, I'm a developer, and I mostly code with GPT now because it's just so brilliant. I mean, it's doing some really stupid things that humans wouldn't do.
Right.
Even though sometimes I would say that GPT is way smarter than my drunk self, and these errors, these hallucinations that the engineers are calling are a bit surprising. But it's not. I'm just concerned about the fact that most of the people are saying it's just a tool. I have friends, engineers, really smart people who are like, it's just a dumb parrot, repeating, predicting what is going to be the next word. I had a huge conversation with one of my best friends a couple of days ago about that. He was convinced, and he's way more knowledgeable than me on that. And he was convinced that no, it's never going to be smart. It's just an algorithm that keeps on predicting what's going to be the next words. But when you interact with it, you're like, well, I'm sorry, but this is smarter than most of the people I know.
Right. But that
You know
friend
what
who
I mean?
interacted with you, my guess is he has very little personality, right?
I'm not going to say that.
Anyway, I don't know why that came to mind, but here's one of the point about economics and the creative destruction that new technology inevitably brings. There's a famous quote or story or anecdote. Milton Friedman was looking at a construction site, and they were saying to him, "Oh, look, we've created all these jobs," because there was some government project he was maybe critical of, but they were trying to say to him, "See, we've created all these jobs. Look at everybody shoveling and digging into the ground." He goes, "Okay, great. You should give all the workers spoons, and that will create more jobs. You need a lot more people to dig into the ground with spoons than shovels." And that was the logic he was saying that's being used here. But you're saying, it sounds like you're saying, it is doing that creative destruction, but to such a fast and advanced degree that it puts it in a different category, or is this just a matter of degree?
Right. Yeah. Like, why does it scare you, and why doesn't it inspire you?
Or excite you?
It's going to usher in this really incredibly mysterious new age of production. What's so scary about it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And the thing is, for me, it's a bit of a reality check, because all my life, my dream was to get this AI that could fix all the problems, that could cure cancer, that could move us forward in a new era of economics and happiness, the total utopia. And now I end up being scared because I see that the optimization function, what I mean by that is when you give an algorithm an objective, it's going to do everything to get there. And the current optimization function of humans is to make money. I think we can agree on that. And a good example of that is, do you think humans hate elephants?
Hate what?
Elephants.
I think they love elephants.
Yeah, they love elephants, but somehow they are now in danger of extinction. And not because we hate them, but because our optimization function is to make money, and some people ended up hunting them for the ivory and selling them. So I'm not scared that the AI is going to be like in this sci-fi scenario, thinking that, the humans are the problems of the planet, we need to destroy them, huge nuke. This is kind of silly in my opinion, but just the negative externalities that we cannot plan, that we cannot predict, because it is a black box, would lead to consequences that could be terrible.
But what about the positive externalities that we can't plan for? In other words, if I push past your example of the elephants, if the intelligence is that smart, it would say, wait, if we kill all the elephants, we'll run out of ivory. We won't be able to use any of the resources from any of these endangered species. So maybe the short-sighted human will take a resource and run it into the ground, but AI will say, wait a minute, you only should be hunting or doing, I'm not making a case for hunting elephants, but fishing or anything in which there's the problem of the commons or something, where everybody, I forgot what the actual term is called, where you're afraid. The truth is, with resources, the more privatization of the resources that you have, the more incentive there is. In other words, since we started using lumber, I think there's more trees, not less trees, because there's an incentive to maintain and farm and have trees, because we need the lumber. We don't just use all the lumber up. And maybe it would develop systems that are more efficient at preservation and conservation, so that we could have a sustainable model of using the resources that we would need. The other thing is, it would make human beings much more efficient.
Let's do one thing at a time.
Yeah, okay, that one.
Yeah. So wouldn't the AI like account for that, or couldn't it, or why wouldn't it,
or shouldn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I'm just saying, if we're thinking, we have to start. If you think past phase one, it actually goes way deeper than just the short-sightedness. That's a human, maybe misconception.
That was my initial dream, but the problem is, like, what objective do you give it? I mean, we can fairly agree, I think, on the fact that our objectives as humans and as different countries are ambiguous. It's not straightforward what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And so if you give an ambiguous objective to a super intelligence that thinks 1,000,000 times faster than you, that has 1,000,000 times more computing power than you, and can actually, like this, take control of pretty much every network, we lose control. And if we don't put regulation in place to first work more on the understanding of the black box rather than chasing the next big AI that will bring the most amount of money to the company that created, that would be a good first step. And second is to regulate, like when we started cloning humans, when we realized that we could clone humans, I think it was in the 90s, I don't know. But we all decided as a human species, like, okay, guys, we stop this shit. We cannot clone humans. This is going too far. And actually, everybody agreed on that. Even China. Actually, the guy who tried to clone humans recently in China is in jail right now.
But his clone is still doing it.
I'm sorry?
His clone is still cloning humans.
He got one out.
Yeah.
He squeezed one out.
But I have a logistical question. You mentioned like an AI could take over a network.